All right. Well, good morning. Welcome to our morning devotions. We're in Second Samuel chapter 20. This is a shorter chapter, and it has some interesting points, but it wasn't as complex as chapter 19. But 2 Samuel chapter 20, I posted verses 13 through 23. I entitled this "Quelling Sheba's Rebellion." I said yesterday that things were not over for David. And we see that in 2 Samuel chapter 20. It begins with another uprising. And it says in verse 1 of chapter 20, and there happened to be there a man of Belial, another wicked guy. They just spring up everywhere. He says, whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjaminite. So, of course, he's a part of Saul's family. All right. And he blew a trumpet and said, "We have no part in David. We have no part in David. Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel." And that phrase, "every man to his tents," was the signal of revolt. We're not going to have any part of David, and now David's got another rebellion on his hands. It's nonstop. So every man of Israel went up after David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah clave unto the king from Jordan even to Jerusalem. So here we have this civil war unfolding again. And David came to his house at Jerusalem. And the king took the 10 women, his concubines, who he had left to keep the house, and put them in a ward and fed them, but went not in unto them. These are the women that Absalom laid with. He said, but David had no relationships with these 10 concubines. So they were shut up unto the day of their death, living in widowhood. Just a little note there in regards to that, the end of that. And then it says this in verse 4, this is the beginning of trying to get this rebellion quelled. Now remember, the new general is Amasa, who was Absalom's general. And the next section here is, there's a lot of things to consider. When you read these things, you see what the scriptures say, and then you ask yourself, why do these things happen? But it says in verse 4, then said the king to Amasa, assemble me the men of Judah within 3 days, and be thou there present. I need the army together in 3 days, Amasa. That's the key. This is the command of David. And it says in verse 5, so Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but he tarried longer than the set time which he had appointed. And there is the issue that kind of questions the rest of this. Now, Joab is going to kill him, and Joab should not kill him. Joab is just a bad guy. I don't want to keep saying that. But the fact is, there's questions here. And as the commentators look at this, well, why won't the men of Judah line up? They already said they're going to side with David. Well, why can't Amasa get them all together? And here are some suggestions for that. One, that the fact that he was Absalom's general. Do you really want to follow the guy that led the opposing army? Do you really want to follow that guy as members of the tribe of Judah? That might be a reason if they called the forces to align and get together, that the guys would say, I don't think I'm coming under him. It's not that they're not coming, but they're not coming with him. Number two, there is always the question of doubted loyalty by the men of Judah. I mean, is Amasa really on our side? Is he really on the side of David? I mean, is this somebody we can trust? That's lingering out there. And then there is the question of his own negligence or his own lack of loyalty. Was he not diligent himself in not doing this, so things are dragging on? This whole issue here is what we're looking at, and we're going to see it here. As far as David is concerned, time is of the essence. Sometimes in military actions, there's no time for delay, and that's what you're going to hear here. David, you have to go now. There's 3 days. Get the army together. We have to get after it right now. There is no time for delay. I'll give you 3 days to get it around because we have to go to battle. Amasa does not do that. For whatever reason, the key, even though David is on the downward slide here, he still knows what you have to do to get the job done. All right, and Amasa is not part of it. He's not doing it. So, for whatever reason, and I cited these, so you can just take each of those as you'd like. Some of the commentators say that this was one of the reasons Joab kills him, not only because of his own pride and that maybe his pride had been hurt because he's the new general, but and I'm sure that was probably part of it because that's Joab, but perhaps the fact that he's not getting the job done when David says to get it done is something that's lingering in the back of everybody's mind. Anyway, I'm not saying he should have killed him, but if you have a general that's not loyal to the king, what good is he, is the point. So the next point here is he tarries longer, and David realizes this. So this is another bad decision. Remember, some of the commentators said, well, if you get Amasa in there, it's a good political decision to unite the nations. Well, perhaps in a time of peace, but in a time of war here, these warriors don't know if they want to follow this guy. All right, so he turns to Abishai. Amasa's not getting it done, and so it goes to verse 6. And David said to Abishai, so he moves Abishai up now to get this done, and that alone. It doesn't say Joab is there. No one wants to believe that, although it's not in the biblical record, that Joab isn't there. But David doesn't go to Joab even after Amasa's not doing it. He goes to Abishai, his younger brother, to get this done. Now, they're all grown men. But see, Joab is not the first guy here. He's turning to Abishai to get things around because we have to get things moving. Time is of the essence, and that's what he said. And David said to Abishai, now shall Sheba, the son of Bichri, do us more harm than did Absalom. Because of what's happening here. He says, take thou thy Lord's servants and pursue after him, lest he get him fenced cities and escape us. You have to do it now. You have to do it now. We can't wait. If Amasa can't get it done, you got to get it done. And if he can escape, and if it gets inside a walled city, it's going to make it tough for us. It's going to be very interesting that he does make it to a walled city. But you got to see what happens here. It's amazing. So, and there went out after him Joab's men and the Cherethites and the Pelethites and all the mighty men. So there's the Cherethites and the Pelethites, which are, again, they're under Benaiah. All right. So you got this powerful military force. And all the mighty men, and they went out of Jerusalem to pursue after Sheba, son of Bichri. So the fight is on, okay, under Abishai's leadership. And it tells us this in verse 8. Now, verse 8 through 10 is Joab killing Amasa. This is just a gruesome story, all right? And we'll just tell it here, all right? Because this is Joab. When you get, I've already mentioned this, but when you get into 1 Kings after David is dead and he tells Solomon what to do, Joab is going to be killed because it's not here, but Joab is the leader of the army and he's done some things that were helpful. He's just a really tough bird, all right? And David isn't going to put up with it. And Solomon and Benaiah Solomon's going to command Benaiah to kill him, all right? Because he is guilty of so many things. All right. So what I'm saying is, even if Amasa wasn't loyal, it wasn't his place to kill him. All right. Amasa was disloyal. It wasn't up to Joab to kill him. Then they were, when they were at a great stone, which is in Gibeon, Amasa went before them, and Joab's garment that he had put on was girded unto him, and upon it a girdle with a sword fastened upon his loins in the sheath thereof. And as he went forth, it fell out. All that is to say is outside of his military garb, he's got his sword strapped on. All right, so of course that's where it would be, so you can pull it out. And then there's the question, was this by accident or by design? It doesn't say, it just says it fell out. Now I have to say, just from my observation, as a military guy, I think this was all set up. I don't think Joab's sword ever just fell out. That's why when you read this, you say, what do you mean just fell out? Yeah. No, it fell out. So now it falls out on the ground, all right? And this is what happened, and I'll read it just so you get this picture in your mind. So it falls out on the ground. He picks it up with his left hand, all right, and reaches up to kiss Amasa with his right, all right. This is the idea that happened back with Ehud, all right, and how he was killed. Um, so let's keep going here. Let's see. And oh yes, verse 9. And Joab said to Amasa, Art thou in health, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand, because you see, his right hand would have been normally the hand he's going to use to kill him. So he's embracing him with his right hand, and he's not noticing that he's got his sword. He's picking it up off the ground with his left hand, and this is all very normal. All right, it falls out. He bends over. He's embracing him now, but now the sword is in his left hand. Here's my right. His sword is in his left hand, right? And here we go. It said, and Joab said to Amasa, Art thou in health? Small talk. Remember, don't get into small talk with Joab. That's what Abner did, you know. And Joab took Amasa by the beard with the right hand to kiss him, but Amasa took no heed to the sword that was in Jonathan's hand, in Joab's hand. It's in his left hand. He's just not paying attention to this. Plus, he's coming to him like he's schmoozing him. It's in peace. How's everything going? He doesn't expect this to happen any more than even Abner expected this to happen. All right, he's just killing these men when they least expect it. He's not going to get his sword out to be able to defend himself. It said, but Amasa took no heed that the sword was in Joab's hand, so he smote him therewith in the fifth rib and shed out his bowels to the ground. This is the picture in the scriptures. So he hits him under the fifth rib. He cuts him open, and his bowels are falling out of him. All right, which is just an absolutely gruesome way to die. That's what's happening. He said, and it says he shed out his bowels to the ground, and he struck him not again. The text tells us that after he cuts him open and his bowels are falling out, he doesn't kill him. Like he could stick him in the neck or some way to just put him out of his misery. That is not what Joab does. He cuts his guts open. He's wallowing in his blood in his guts, and he's dying this horrible death, but he won't strike him again to put him out of his misery. That is what we're reading. You say to yourself, is that in the Bible? You read the Bible, you'll be a different person just by reading this stuff. I mean, you wonder, all these people, when you talk about, men being men. Well, in the history of America, this is the stuff out of our old King James Bible that was preached and understood before we had all these things where the feminization of men and all this transgender stuff where men are transforming themselves. They're not. Where when men are dressing like women. I mean, that's, if you read the King James Bible and you embrace this and you understand what this is all about, you understand what war is about, you understand what the wickedness of man is all about, you can see how wicked men can be. All of these things are now going to be factored into the way you think about the world. All right? We're learning these things about these men. All right? So he's wallowing in his insides are falling out of him. He said, it said, he struck him not again, and he died. And Joab and Abishai, his brother, pursued after Sheba, the son of Bichri. And it says, let me keep reading. Now, he is going to die, but let's keep reading. It said, and one of Joab's men stood by him after watching all of this. He said, and he that favoreth, and here it is, he that favoreth Joab, and he that is for David, let him go after Joab. And that verse is what some of the commentators point to by way of indication that there was this doubt on the part of the army, of the men of Judah. That's the verse. Because you want to, I mean, he's gone now. We're going to follow Judah because nobody was going to follow him in the first place. That is the point. And it says, and Amasa, and here it is. Now it says he dies, but down here in the next verse, and Amasa wallowed in blood in the midst of the highway. There it is. Amasa, it says he died, but on the way to dying, he wallows in blood in the midst of the highway. And when the man stood, and when the man saw that all the people stood still, he removed Amasa out of the highway into the field. That is, when he could see that everybody was rubbernecking to see this. All right, I mean, it says after that he says he removed Amasa out of the highway, that is in a prominent place, and he throws him into a field and casts a cloth upon him and covers him up. So when you walk by, you can't see this. When he saw that everyone that came by him stood still. Yeah, this is David's new general. He's been gruesomely killed, wallowing, it says, in blood in the midst of the highway, dead. And as everybody's walking by, we said, we got to get this guy out of here, because everybody that walks by is just standing here gawking at this guy. It gruesomely killed. So they take him out of the highway. They put him in a field. They throw a cloth over him. So you can wonder what it was, but you got to walk over there now and take the cloth off if you want your curiosity satisfied. These things are just remarkable things. I'm reading this out of the Bible, but you know whose words these are? Think about it. Whose words are these? For all of those that are thinking that this is, the Bible's full of all kinds of stuff. Now, these are the words of the Holy Spirit. This is the Word of God as much as John 3:16. That's what this is. The Scriptures, it says the Scripture cannot be broken. All Scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable. It's all given by inspiration and is profitable. What we're reading here is given by inspiration and is profitable. That is, there's a utilitarian reason for this, for us to understand this and to read it and to know it. Okay, so they take him out, and it says when he was removed out of the highway, all the people went on after Joab to pursue after Sheba the son of Bichri. And I think there's no mention to Amasai here. David told Amasai to take over, but big brother Joab steps in again after this, and then all you're going to hear about is Joab. Now, the next story here is remarkable for all of the dear ladies out there that want to save your town. I love this, because I was thinking, I know so many sweet, godly, older ladies, okay? My mom's Sunday school class is full of sweet, godly, older ladies, and I use older ladies as an example just because you're old doesn't make you, a sanctified person. That's true, but those that have walked with the Lord a long, long time, you'll be so sweet, all right? Well, here we have another one of these wise women, one of these wise ladies. I wonder why it's not a guy doing this. It's a lady that takes care of this. So this story is marvelous. I love this whole thing. It begins in verse 14. I'm just going to read it to you. It said, and he went through, in verse 13, and they pursued they're pursuing Sheba now. The army's after him, okay? So that's where we pick up. And that is, Sheba went through all the tribes of Israel unto Abel and to Beth Maachah and all the Berites, and they were gathered together and went also after him. I mean, he's gaining forces, and they came and besieged him in Abel of Beachimah, and they cast up a bank against the city, and it stood in the trench, and all the people that were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down. So they're there besieging this city, is the point. They're putting up a trench. It's the whole idea. They cast up a wall, which is, these ramps were a way that it would just take time. But when you attack these cities, they just took time. All right. If you've ever seen Masada, because the Romans couldn't take Masada because it was a mountain fortress. I forget how long it took for them to build a ramp, which is gigantic. If you ever see it, I mean, it's been a while since I looked at it. But the Romans out in the desert built a ramp that they could march soldiers up to until they could get to the wall of Masada, because there was no way to get up there except a winding path where you could only get like 1 or 2 soldiers through at a time. And the Israelis up there could hold off the whole Roman army up there until one of the generals said that's not going to work. So they took the time to take stone and dirt and build this gigantic ramp up the side of a mountain. You got to see pictures of this. It's still there. To march the army up there till they could get over the wall. And, of course, in the story of Masada, when they saw that the victory was going to be the Romans, all the Jewish patriots, they're all committed suicide. So it was a bittersweet victory for the Romans, but that's a whole other story. The point is, back in these days, when you besiege a city, it would take a long time, and they would just dig in. That's why one of the rules of besieging a city is don't cut down the fruit trees to build your weapons of war. Why? Because you're going to have to be there a long time to eat off the tree. Very simple things. So they're putting up a bank so they can attack the city, and they're getting ready to attack the city, which is just going to demolish the city, coming after Sheba. And Joab battered the wall to throw it down. So they're about ready just to destroy the city. And so there's a lady that lives on the other side of the wall and says, wait a minute, what's going on here? We got David's army out there. I mean, and they're planning just to wipe us out, which they are, because you're hiding Sheba on the other side of the wall. And it said, then cried a wise woman, and here it is. Then cried a wise woman out of the city, Hear, say I pray you unto Joab, come near hither, that I may speak with thee. The lady's up there says, Joab, come on, come up here, I want to talk to you. Joab, was he on the bank, or where was he? So, hey, Joab, there's a dear lady up there on the wall wants to talk to you, okay? So, he said, and when he was come, that is, he went to talk to her, and when he was come near unto her, the woman said, art thou Joab? And he answered, I am he. Yeah, I'm him. Then she said unto him, hear the words of thine handmaid. And he answered, I'm listening. I do hear. Listen to me. He says, I'm right here. Go ahead. He said, then she spake, saying, they were wont to speak at old times, saying, they shall surely ask counsel of Abel. And so, and they ended the matter. That is, in the times past, we used to be able to just settle these things by good counsel here in this town. All right? And I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel. I mean, I don't want war here. I'm one of these people that want peace. You want people like this. She stepped up to the wall and said, I want to talk to the general because I don't want any of this that's going on here to happen. All right? I don't know what had to happen behind the walls of the town of Abel, for her to get up there and do that. But somebody, it's interesting that it was a woman here, all right, that she's the one that's talking to Joab. Where are the men, okay? I think that's a really, for all those that say maybe this isn't the right order of things, aren't you glad that this was done out of order and there was this woman that stepped up there to talk to the general, even if it wasn't a guy? Yeah, I am. He goes on, and she said, thou seekest to destroy a city. You're about ready to wipe us out. You're going to destroy this city and a mother in Israel. That is, all the innocent people, me and others. Why wilt thou swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? Why are you going to wipe out God's people? We are the inheritance of the Lord. Why are you going to wipe us out? You're going to kill a mother. You're going to kill a lot of people. Why are you here doing this to us? We've been able to take care of these things by speaking through it in diplomacy before. It's not necessary that the city be destroyed. That's the point that she's making. And she said, and Joab answered and said, far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy. He said, I'm not here to destroy your city or the inheritance of the Lord or to kill mothers. That's not why I'm here, Joab is saying. That's not it. He says, you got to understand why I'm here. And that's what's going to come up. He said, the matter is not so, but a man of Mount Ephraim, that is what the claim you're making isn't correct, is what he's saying. But a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba the son of Bertri by name, hath lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Now, here he goes. We can settle this in 2 seconds. Don't you like these things? We can settle this in 2 seconds. He says, this is all you got to do. He said, deliver him only. All we're looking for is one guy. Remember I said you just got to cut off the head of the snake? I want this one guy, and I will depart from the city. There you go. I'm going to take the army home if you just give the guy to me. I'm not here to wipe out Abel or the people there or any of that. That's not why I'm here. I'm after one guy who called for a rebellion against David. Now, the army's on the outside and says, we'll keep coming, but we can stop this. We can short circuit this in 2 seconds. I'm just looking for this one guy. He said, and the woman said unto Judah, Joab, behold, listen. I don't know. Do you want to make a plaster of Paris plaque and hang it on your wall for this one? The verse that you have to memorize for Bible school. So this is what the lady says, the wise woman. She said, behold, his head shall be thrown to thee over the wall. I'm going to save the whole town. Just hang on a minute, Joab. His head is going to be thrown to you in just a second over the wall. So you guys can all go home. I'm going to save the city. I'm going to save all the moms. I'm going to save the inheritance of the Lord. Just hang on a second. I'm going to throw his head over the wall to you, Joab. I'll tell you, it's something else, isn't it? And it says this, and then it goes on in verse 22. And the woman went unto all the people in her wisdom. So now she's got to make the case that she says, Joab has agreed. The army's going home. If we just take this guy that's hiding out here and pitch his head over the wall. Are you ready to do that? So now they're saying, well, first of all, he's culpable of rebellion. All right, so he's worthy of capital punishment. That's the case. This isn't done unjustly. Plus, it's all being adjudicated by the judges of the town. And what we're talking about is whether or not this guy has risen up against the king and whether or not they want to save the city. So it says, and the woman went unto all the people in her wisdom. So she's making her case to the town council and to all the people. All we have to do is pitch this guy's head over the wall, and everybody's going home. And it says, and they, that is the people of Abel, cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bichri, and cast it out to Joab. So Joab's waiting there. They're having a council on the other side of the wall, and he's talking with his guys. They're probably just laying back just for a second because they're in negotiations. I don't know if they've stopped or not, but for this little bit, he said, yeah, we'll go home. So we're waiting to see if this works out. And just in a minute after she says, hang on a second, she makes the case to the people. I don't think it took the people of Abel very long to figure this out, because they don't want their whole lives and all these innocent people destroyed here just because of this one guy that doesn't belong there. Right. So what they do, they pitch his head over the wall. She says they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bichri, and cast it out to Joab. And there you go. So here it comes. And Joab goes, hey, that was the deal. We're only after this one guy. That's it. So the next thing is, after that happens, he says, and he blew a trumpet. Like, this is the going home trumpet. We're done. And they retired from the city. Everybody went, whoa, man, we don't have to keep building this wall. We don't have to go over. We don't have to go to battle and all the things that we're just going to go home now because of the one act of that one wise woman. And they retired from the city, every man to his tent. Everybody went home, and Joab returned to Jerusalem unto the king. And there you have it. Now Joab was over all the host of Israel. And there, at the end of the chapter, after all of that, Amos has been this brutally killed. We mentioned Abishai trying to get the army together because, time is of the essence. But at the end of the chapter, Joab isn't back in charge. It said, now Joab was over all the host of Israel, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Cherethites and over the Pelethites, over the Praetorian, over the best of the best of the best of David's army. These are the Rangers, Green Beret, and SEALs. That's who we're talking about here when you got the Cherethites and the Pelethites. And Adoram was over the tribute, that he was taking care of the taxes. Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, was the recorder. That is, he would have been the court historian, the secretary. They said, Sheba was scribe, Zadok and Abiathar were the priests, and Ira, also the Jairite, was chief ruler about David. And that's the end of chapter 20. There's only 24 chapters in 2 Samuel. So we got 21, 22, 23, 24, which brings us to the end of 2 Samuel. So that's the end of that story. All right. Well, the Lord bless you. You have a great day. And Lord willing, this is Thursday. I'll see everybody tomorrow. All right. We'll see you. You got to enjoy reading the Bible, right? You have to enjoy it. These things need to be circulating. You need to ask the Lord, how can I use this today? Okay. All right. We'll see you. Yeah. Okay. Bye.